Happy Thursday and welcome back to the You Good Podcast, the podcast where oversharing is encouraged and thoughts get real. I'm your host, C-Rod, joined as always by my lovely co-host, Nick. This week we are talking about things people assume about you, right? Based on how you look, how you act, or the version of you they met at a certain point in your life. We've all changed. Most of the time, they're not even close to those assumptions. We are talking perception, trade-offs, and the moments that force you to change for good, not just temporarily. Welcome to episode 40, What People Get Wrong. Let's get into it. I am coming to you from a brand new studio. Not really. We just redid the carpets in the room, painted all the walls, put a new ceiling fan in. But I've been living outside. My office has been outside in the back patio for 2 days, and I'm finally back in a room just getting high off of paint while we kind of sit here. How are you?
Nice. I don't know. Part of me wishes I was getting high off paint right now. I'm doing okay.
the kids took naps just great in these rooms. I wonder
I'm
why.
sure they did. Yeah, slept like babies.
Oh man, yeah. It's been nice though to we've been in this house for 6 years and nothing's changed since the day one. So it's been nice to just get everything resituated. The carpet smells good, the rooms smell good, and I'm just kind of happy we did that.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to see it next weekend.
Next weekend, baby. Fantasy baseball in-person draft. Year 3 of in-person, right?
I think, yeah.
I still, hopefully the boards get here before next Saturday, but if they don't, I still have the draft board from last year up on my wall that Callie asked me all the time, why do you still have this up? And it's in my man cave. So I said, it's a sports decor. It's a sports decoration.
It's a reminder.
It's a reminder at how bad the draft was, but it can't be as bad as football because I did not take Tyler Loop in the first.
It's still early. You might take an NA in the first round.
I have not watched really any baseball outside of the World Baseball Classic. I haven't watched any spring training. I didn't get a chance to go to any games again. Just been too busy. So I'm going into this draft just winging it like usual, and then me by week 5 I'll have my whole team traded away to probably Scott and Badger.
That's true. I'm interested to see how they rip you off like they normally do. Also, I think the first time that we're drafting after opening day.
Yes. Well,
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter to me. Dugas is making a big shtick about it, our commissioner, but there's what? We're going to miss like 3 games?
Yeah, if that, I mean,
because they're starting. What is this? The earliest they've ever started the season or something?
I don't know. Probably it is pretty early.
I mean, the first 2 weeks of the season don't really even matter. I'm sure
not even April.
The guy that's going to be leading the league when he hits 7 home runs in 3 games is going to be some waiver wire pickup that nobody knows about, and then when he gets picked up, he's going to go 0 for 62. We all know that's how it goes.
That's the thing. These people are probably going to get drafted now. They're not going to be waiver wire. Like we're going to be like, oh shit, dude's raking 4th game in. We gotta take him in like 10th round. Not 16.
If you talking to the people listening, but if you don't, if you only play fantasy football, right, which most people do, most people only play fantasy football, which to me is a very light schedule, right? We're talking of every few days, and then you have the waivers that go through. Baseball is a completely different animal, and it's the only sport that I'm in one league because half of the time I can't even keep up with that because we have to check our rosters 4 times a day, if not more.
if you want to make sure you don't miss anything. The
Yeah.
good news is most of the MLB by noon you'll have the lineups out. So as long as you're checking noon, 1 o'clock, you're good there. But yeah, our league specifically, I ran two for the longest time. I was like as
Baseball?
just into. Yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
run them, but I was into of them, and that was ridiculous. The only saving grace was one of those leagues was once a week, so I only had to set it on Sundays, and then our league is just ridiculous.
I don't think
Anyone you thought about getting, good luck.
gone weeks in advance. They could be picked up 6 weeks before they even get called up in our league.
It's
And
retarded.
I hate the locked league. So I used to play fantasy basketball league where it was a weekly lock league. And that's just it's very irritating because I feel like what's the point of even playing? You know, if you're not going to be able to make roster changes, especially, you know, like baseball, just like basketball, they're every day. Somebody could get hurt on a Monday, right? And now your whole week is screwed because you can't make that change. Or you know, in today's world, these athletes are sitting out for the smallest inconveniences. And when you're in a weekly locked league, you can't adjust to that. And I feel like that's an outdated way to play.
Yeah, and I haven't been in that league in quite a few years, probably because of that. I don't think I am built for a league like that. I need the dailies. I stream pictures, dude.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, right.
I I, I am notorious for streaming pictures early on, and the minute they are decent, never dropping them, and just keeping and getting like uh, top 50 pitchers by the end of it
Yeah,
because I was just smart in the beginning, and it was like Sonny Gray. I was like, all right, I'll ride you, Sonny. Oh, you finally broke through. Hell yeah,
can't do it on the Yankees, but he can do it everywhere
No,
else in his career.
everywhere else, yeah.
I I'll tell you what, stepping back from commissioner, I did it in baseball. I did it in one of my fantasy football leagues. I'm only commissioner in 2 out of 4 leagues now. It has been great. I am less angry. I am, you know, if you can tell in like group chats, like I'm not yelling at people as much.
You're not
Uh,
even involved half the
I'm
time.
not participating as much because I just feel like if I say something, somebody's gonna push a button and then make me argue with them. Just be like, fucking
Yeah.
gaslighters, just a bunch of gaslighters in all my fantasy leagues. And if you guys in football are listening to this, you know that you're all fucking gaslighters to football, baseball, fraternity league, this league, family and friends league. Well, family and friends this league is the only league that there's no gaslighters.
I was gonna say,
We don't really even do
Family and
much.
Friends is so laid back. It's
Uh,
insane.
yeah.
Good luck getting anyone outside of who you drafted and can pick up on waivers. No one trades. No one even talks.
Well, awesome. I'm glad to see you, or I'm excited to see you. I can't wait for the draft itself. I can't wait to start watching baseball again. I think that drafting or the streamer strategy is actually something I enjoy because it gets me watching more games, right? Because I'm like, oh, I have the streamer, no idea who is, but let me check him out, right? And I
Yeah.
feel more involved with that strategy.
I mean, it's a solid strategy. I mean, good luck winning
Yeah.
most pitching categories.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to get into today's episode. The episode last week has been doing very well. You know, so thank you to everybody who's watched, shared, listened, texted, reacted, whatever it might be. I think the team domination UCF beer pong reel has been one of our most successful reels. And then I also want to, you know, thank the people when we said, you know, we want more people to openly come on. I've already had multiple people reach out like, hey, how do I become a guest? Or hey, you know, I'd like to be on your show. And I think it just shows the growth and the reach. You know, one of the people that are coming on, you know, I haven't talked to him since high school, and it's really fun to open that network and open that inner circle again. So, as always, you know, if you guys if anybody listening is interested in coming on, wants to be a guest, please reach out to me. either by email at crodspod@gmail.com, or if you have my number, or you can DM us on Instagram or TikTok. Even if we don't know you, we'd be more than happy to have any sort of listener on as we
that'd be
move
fun.
forward. That would be
Complete
stranger.
unknown to us.
Yeah,
Complete stranger would be fun. I think that would be a good one.
That would be cool. So let's get this episode started, Nick, with a one-word mental health check-in. One of our rotational openers that we haven't had in a while. I'll go first since you always go first, if you'd like.
That works.
Okay. My word is going to be rewarding. No, not rewarding. Fulfill. No, not productive. My word will be productive. How about that?
Good. Nice.
My word is productive because I have the things that we have been doing have been rewarding, right? The things that we have been doing around the house have been fulfilling. Being able to redo my office, being able to do the girls' room. They're finally getting bunk beds. They've been asking for bunk beds for like a year and a half now.
So much more room for activities.
So much more room for activities. They can't have the power drills. And they're so excited. Like Kinsley was with her mom this weekend, so she hasn't been to my house since Friday, and she won't be back till tomorrow. So when she left, her room was normal. When she's coming back, everything's out of her room. She's gonna have a completely new closet system, new fan, new carpet, new paint, new bed, and she's so excited. So I think that part of it is very fulfilling for me. But my word has been productive. I think that everything that I've been doing, whether it has been around the house, work related, I even finally started working out again, and I went back on a diet. I've lost 5 pounds. I know it's mostly water weight and everything like that, but I'm trending the right way on the scale now. So I'm eating clean again. I'm drinking my water. I've cut back sodas and all of that, and I'm happy where I'm at this week. So productive is my word. How about you?
Fatigued.
Very opposite. Talk to me about how fatigued you are, my friend.
Just mostly mentally. Just work. There's just a lot going on, and being at the top, having to handle a lot of it is it's been a lot.
Yeah. Feels like a Friday for you, huh?
Yeah. Yesterday, and I don't even know what day really is.
So it's Thursday.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, other than that, life's good. It's just tired right now, man. Just fatigued is the right word.
It's okay to be tired.
This too shall pass.
It's okay to be tired. I think I went to bed the other day at like 9:30 and didn't wake up. I slept through my alarms and I didn't wake up till like 10 o'clock. So it's okay to be tired.
I don't do that.
Maybe you need to. Maybe you need to take a bunch of melatonin or whatever, makes you fall asleep real fast, and just sleep for like 13 hours and see how you feel.
I slept in on like Saturday and Sunday, and it was 7:30.
Jesus. Absolutely. So a part of my weight loss now is I'm using ChatGPT as like a dietitian and a training coach, whatever, using it in the right way. And it wants me to wake up every morning. First, it wanted me to wake up every morning at like 7. I go, I absolutely cannot do that. And it said, let's aim for 7:30. I said, we'll aim for it, but I don't think once I have woken up at 7:30. But now the kids are back to school, I have to wake up at 6:30. Tegan was off and a little bit longer because they were out a whole week for spring break, and now all of a sudden they needed a planning day. The first day back from spring break, you need a planning day. Like, didn't you have a whole week to plan?
Nah.
I want to frame the next part of our conversation. Basically, as you listen to this, think about the version of you people think they understand, right? And how accurate that actually is. I think the saying is, you know, I don't know what the saying is, but there's some saying about first impressions. And you have to make a good one, but
Yeah,
the
you
other
don't get a
saying,
second one, I think is the
you never get a
expression.
second impression. I don't
You
know.
don't get a second first impression, I think is how it goes.
But you should also not judge a book by its cover. And I think that that's the other side of the coin, where I've seen so many
Yeah.
times, even I know it's semi scripted, but even when I watch Big Brother, I know you watch it as well, but sometimes you'll see them meeting for the first time. They're like, oh, I thought you were just some big dumb meathead. It turns out that you have some depth to you, right? And it's
Yeah.
just those first impressions that so many people make, especially in this era of social media. People will make an impression of you before they even get to meet you. I know that before I met Callie, when I was back on the dating scene, it was going into the dating apps. And now you're judging somebody like, do I want to date this person based on 6 pictures and a limited biography? And you're simply just you're taking a split second to judge that book by its cover.
Oh, yeah,
And
that's all
that's
you're doing.
all society is now, is how do I judge somebody before I even meet them personally, if I ever even do?
Yeah.
Give me your thoughts before we get into this on first impressions versus reality.
Oh, yeah, most of the time they're wrong. Sometimes, sometimes they can be telling to certain extents, like, oh, maybe I don't have any specifics, but um a first impression that might uh I'm trying to, like, personally, that might be accurate, and I'm like, most of the time it's not, because I can come off brash and like an asshole because I'm stern and or say shit as a matter of fact.
Is that
And
something that people consistently get wrong about you?
I would say so, yeah. I would say that I would I'm more of the type of person, like, I'd give you the shirt off my back rather than tell you to fuck off. But uh, if if but I can be stern or even loud. Like, when I get passionate about stuff, I get real loud, and people think I'm angry or mad, or
Yeah,
mostly mad, because I'll get elevated and I'll start talking louder. But it's not anything but other than passion, and
passion.
that's the other thing I think people get. I think that probably be the biggest thing.
Yeah.
The people think that I'm mad or I'm yelling at someone when I'm just talking about something I really, really like or care about.
I think that those assumptions, personality, quietness, right, or confidence,
Mhm.
that's really what the first impressions that people make are. For me, it's intimidation, right? A lot of people, more so way back when I was in shape, and now I'm just some tall, big, fat old dude. But when I was in shape and tall and big, a lot of people, especially when we talked about before, me working security, they were intimidated, when in reality, I am a gentle giant. I am not going to put conflict first. My first thought process is, how can I make the people around me, feel better or have a good time, whatever it might be. It's never intimidation as a first factor for me.
No, I wouldn't. Knowing you, I don't. It's not intimidation.
How long did it take you to realize that people had the wrong read on you? Or was it something that was more prevalent in our earlier years, right? Middle school, high school, or was it something that became more prevalent in your adult years, in your work life, when maybe you're a little bit more direct with people? When did that come into play?
It was definitely later in life. High school, all that, like the passionate, loud part, people were it was funny. Most people didn't think anything of it. Now that I'm in positions where, I have to discipline people or things like that, I it easily like people easily think that I'm upset with someone when I'm talking to them because I'm using my hands or I'm I'm louder than this, talking and it most of the time it's like, no, we're just talking about something I like or I care about and
Yeah.
so most of the time people will stay away or they'll come up to me later and be like, "Man, you were really giving it to them." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" Like like what? Like so where I work, there's a mechanics garage attached to it, and I've been talking to people outside of my door, and the mechanics will say something later on to someone else like, "Man, Nick was really laying into them," and I'd be like, "What are they talking about?"
We were just
Like,
talking football.
I was like, "Nah, yeah, you're right." Or I insert anything I give a shit, and
Yeah.
and I get, I mean, it's just anyone who knows me knows that's how I am. Like I'm quick to be loud, but not in a I'm gonna try to talk over you or anything like that. It's purely like I'm just excited.
Yeah. Yeah. I think my shift, very early on, I got, we talked about this before too. I was bullied a lot, picked on, bullied, you know, m- misassumed or how not misgendered, but I don't know what the word is. Uh, and I would say very early on, in middle school, especially in middle school and high school, I cared about what people thought about me all the time. I had to be the cool one, or I had to, try to be in with this crew or that crew, or I had to, try and talk to the prettiest girls in school or be associated with their groups. And I think a lot of that changed when I got into college, when I, went to UCF and kind of changed who I was completely. And it just
Mhm,
became, here's who I am. I'm here to party. I'm here to have a good time. I'm here to make friends, to do the right thing and enjoy this experience. You're either going to be a part of my circle or you're not.
mhm.
And my circle grew. I mean, at one point, I think I had like 4 or 5,000 Facebook friends, and I only knew, 10% of them. Over the years, I, defriended people, unfollowed, unfriended people I had
Mhm.
no idea. Maybe they were just bar associates. And now in my current life, I I don't think I really care what people think about me, but I'm also not trying to like reinvent the wheel or grow this whole new network of friends. Does that make sense?
Um, yeah, no, definitely. I think, I care less about being understood now, but
Yeah.
I also explain myself a lot to the people I do care about, and I want to be understood,
Yeah.
and, that's a struggle. I I I need to not do that, but, that's something I'm working on.
Well, I think there's a gap between how you see yourself, right? And how others experience you. And if it's a close relationship or if it's a close friend, especially when we talk about mental health and just being represented, representing yourself in the right way, I think there's a correction there of like, hey, I'm sorry, maybe I said something this way, but I meant it another. And that's just the way that it came off to where if it's a
Mhm.
total stranger and they, see you in one light, maybe you're just like, hey, fuck off. All right, bye. I'll never see you again. I don't care if you think that that's what I meant or, how I presented myself.
Yeah, 1000%.
Do you find yourself correcting more or less kind of from that example? Like, are you somebody, even if it's not just your friends and family, are you constantly trying to correct people? Is that what you were kind of
I
alluding to?
was. Yeah,
Okay.
I was. I would overly explain everything to everyone just for, like you said, that want or need to be liked.
Yeah.
And now I'm in pushing 40 years old. the people that are in my life like me for me. The ones that aren't, I don't think about. So yeah, it's okay. But do you think people misunderstand you more, or you misunderstand people more?
I think people misunderstand me more, and I think that I judge other
Mm,
people more.
mm,
And what I mean by that is, like my mom's been here, and I've had some conversations with her where I'll say something and she'll take it in one way or another way. Like the other day, she was asking me what time the garbage went out, and I didn't know what time, and it was like 10 o'clock at night. I didn't know what time the garbage or what day the garbage went out. And I was like, I don't know. I'll do, when I wake up and I see that the garbage is out. That's when I take the garbage out.
That's today.
And what she was trying to get to was there's a bunch of garbage in the garage that I want you to put into the garbage can or that needs to go out. And so the morning came, I took the garbage out. Then I see all this stuff, and she's like, "Well, there's all this garbage in the trash that needs to go out." And I was like, "Well, why didn't you tell me that?" And she's like, "Well, I didn't want to upset you because when I was trying to ask you what day, the garbage was, you seemed like you were getting upset about it." And I'm just like, maybe it's the way I presented myself, but there was a misunderstanding there. And I told her, I'm sorry that, what I meant was I just didn't want to deal with taking the trash out now. You
I
could
think
have
that's
still
just
told me
moms being mom.
that stuff was in the garage.
That passive aggressiveness, that's moms being mom. Like, oh, I'm gonna ask you 7 questions to ask you this one question that I could have just asked directly, but I
Yeah.
don't want to do that. I want to ask you like that. Oh, when's the trash come out? Oh, do you know what time?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Now I'm gonna ask you if we can bring the trash out that I want to bring out, instead of just being like, "Hey, whenever trash day is, there's a bunch of trash in the
Right.
garage."
Right.
Oh my god. Holy shit.
I would have
I
known to take it out in
You
the
can be
morning and it would have went
direct?
out.
You can be direct with people? Oh man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Moms, gotta love them.
Gotta love them. Can't live with them. Can't live without them. My mom says this to me
Oh,
all the time.
I think you can live with them. You do, for at least most people live with them for at least 18
Hey,
years, some longer.
I love my parents, but I was out the door as soon as I could. As soon as I turned 18, as soon as I could get my own apartment at
Mhm.
UCF, I was out the door. And, God willing that I never have to move back in with them, but I don't think I'd want to. I love them
Yeah.
so much. I love going to visit. I love when my parents are here, but there's that, like, I don't know, 4-5 day range when maybe we start getting on each other's nerves too much,
Mm.
or we've been around each other too much. So
Yeah.
I
Totally,
I don't
totally get that.
I couldn't move back in.
Not now. Not at this point in my life. No.
I remember that when I was going to college, my parents either wanted me to go to FAU and live with my grandparents in West Palm Beach. I was like, I'm not living with my grandparents. Like, I don't want to do that. I want to go to college. Or I got accepted into DeLand, and they're like, oh, you could just live with us and go to
Oh
college. And I
god.
was like, I don't want to live with you guys. I don't want to do that. I'll compromise. Orlando, still close enough that I can go and get my own
But
place.
I
And
have to stay out here because the drive will kill me.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
What's something? No, no. How much of you, of who you are, is still you, and how much of it was changed or shaped by how people have experienced you over time?
Um, Probably very little. I don't think I've changed who I am because people experience me in a negative way.
Hmm.
I'm me. And the things that I don't like about myself, I've changed, but not based off of anyone else.
Yeah.
Uh, I could see how it could have, um, back when caring about what people thought, but at the same time, most of the time it was not negative. Most of the time, people weren't negative towards me, and the ones that were, it was maybe a handful of people in my life, so it's like that's the outlier. It's not the norm.
Right.
So why would I pander to those people? I'm good.
I think I'm the opposite. I've ebbed and flowed over the years, and I've adjusted my personality, you know, to what people think about me or how they
Mhm,
want me to present myself. And I did that for so many years, especially getting through college. But I think I've leveled that out, as I got away from it and got older, and it's more of coming back to who I actually am and less
mhm.
about how people shaped me to be, because of the perception of who they wanted me to be or who they thought I was because maybe I had only known them for, a short time.
Yeah, for most my life, I've been unapologetically me. I've definitely lost myself at
Yeah.
times, but majority of my life, you either like me or you don't. It doesn't bother me.
Yeah. Well, I want, if you're listening, I want you to think, about something people constantly get wrong about you, and have you ever actually tried to correct it, or is it something in your life where you're constantly, misassumed, or somebody comes in and they assume something about you? You think about that. Does it affect you? Do you change it? Do you try and ignore it or move on?
Do
But
you
I think
address
it's
it?
something you should address. Absolutely. Absolutely. And that disconnect, right? That disconnect between perception and reality is it doesn't just apply to people, right? It shows up in the decisions that we make. So,
Mhm,
not in the sense of people like that we know, but it's also the decisions that we make in life that change our perception, that change our reality, because,
mhm.
at the end of the day, we are in full control of the decisions we make, and there's consequences to that. Every little decision that is out there changes the reality, changes the perception of our life, changes something, whether it's for good, bad, or indifferent. So now I want to kind of pivot and go into a conversation about the side of decisions, right? That doesn't, I don't know, get posted or get shared or get talked about, the part that we only understand after we've lived it.
Mhm,
What is something that you wanted that came with a cost that you didn't
mhm.
expect?
Um, hmm, that was yeah, a good one. The success. um, a lot of people don't. They see it, you when you're at the top of the mountain, but they don't see the climb. And
Yeah.
um, in my pursuit of being successful in life, relationships suffered, for sure.
In what way?
Um, I specifically, my first marriage, not that it wouldn't have failed for other reasons, we just weren't a good fit personally, but I buried myself in work, to where there just wasn't time to nurture that relationship.
Sure.
I also didn't want to, so there was that, but, um,
Didn't
the
want because you weren't mature enough, or didn't want just because you had other priorities?
probably a combination of both. Getting married young, getting married purely because not purely, but mostly because you were having a baby. They call them shotgun weddings, you know.
Yep.
Uh, though hindsight, you just don't get married, but you know, you don't think of that back then. um, and then we did love each other, but me working the way I worked, and when I worked, she ended up working nights or days. I worked nights at the beginning. Um, and we were just roommates, fly by night. You know,
Yeah.
we see each other for an hour. That's not conducive to relationship. There was no work life balance, and um, even after the divorce, I threw myself into work, you know. I'm thankful I did. It's got me where I am, but I understand what I need to do as far as a work-life balance to stay the person I know I am
Right.
instead of getting stressed out or just doing things that aren't me, you know? Uh,
Yeah.
but yeah, success, is one thing for sure.
I think, you had something to say about relationships and flybys, and for me, it's something that I wanted that came with a cost, not unexpected. It was an expected cost, but for me, it was separating with Kelsey, my
Mhm,
first baby mama, Kinsley's mom. And even though our relationship, right, wasn't well, we we weren't even roommates, right? We weren't. I was living on the bottom floor. She was living on the top floor. I would go to work. She would go to work. But the thing is I knew that if I left, I would lose Kinsley, and
mhm,
not losing her forever or for good, but for 50% of the time. And it's really really hard to go from raising. I was a stay-at-home dad. I raised
mhm.
her for the first year of her life. Kelsey was working. She was the working part of the family. And it's really hard to go from seeing your kid every single waking second of the day to now you're 1.5, 2 years old, and I don't know when's the next time I'm gonna see you, especially while we were going through all of our court drama, the legal drama, I should say, and cementing our schedules. Expected, yes, but still very hard
Still.
and very costly to try to move on, make that decision, know that, hey, this decision is going to change this reality, that came at a cost of just that time for my daughter. And thankfully, it was only a few years that we had to deal with that, with those decisions, and things are a lot better now, like I've said in the past. But ultimately,
Mhm.
that very first decision was costly and hard.
Yeah, no, definitely. Um, Separations, there like I said, my success led to all those things, all of those things, but it also taught me a lot, the hard work and all that, but also, like I said, now I take the time.
Yeah,
Now I don't miss anything, there's nothing on this planet that will keep me from a softball game or, uh, at this point, yearbook,
yeah,
weightlifting, those things. Nothing, so and early on, I couldn't necessarily say that, it was work because we need this more, and,
sure.
selfishly looking back, I needed it more, it wasn't
But it's also not selfish, right? Because you're creating wealth, and whether that's for you and or for Sam later in the future, you're more comfortable now that you did that, because here's the reality of it. You hear all of these success stories and people working their way to the top and everything that they gave up. Even like my mom, when my mom bought her restaurant and started Appleton's Cafe, which became a staple of Lake Mary, Florida for
Mhm,
almost 20 years, she always says, even to this day, she hates how much time she missed with me growing up. She wasn't able to be at my baseball games, and she wasn't being able, to be at my
mhm,
school stuff. And she missed so many things because she sacrificed to be at that restaurant 6 days a week, until they used to be open for dinner. So until 9, 10 p.m. at night,
right,
from 6 a.m. to 9, 10 p.m. at night, all to build something that lasted for 2 decades. So it's sacrifice, but it's also creating something for the future where, like, for me, I really wish that I would have strapped down in my mid 20s, late 20s, early 30s, and created some sort of wealth for myself.
mm,
And, whether that was savings, whether that was committing to work, whether that was, not as traveling or partying as much. Once you start having kids and once you buy the house, it starts to get impossible to save. Then you throw inflation on top of that. And I mean, I'm making some of the most money I've ever made in my life, but I am just as equally broke now as I was in like college because all of my money is immediately going somewhere else. And, when I got laid off twice in 1 year, that drained my savings. And now it's really hard to, get that savings back to where it was. And that, that was all due to decisions that I made very early on when I was young and just partying and not taking life seriously until, real life happened with a kid and a house and all of that.
Yeah, but it's the trade-offs, or not trade-offs, but like unexpected. Like for me, like all of the not negative things, but things that just help shape who I am came, you know, came with a price.
Yeah.
It definitely came. Decisions have consequences. So I mean, I I made those decisions. I lived with those consequences, but yeah, I'm not saying I'm not in a better place because of those decisions, but it, I mean, there's trade-offs with everything. I'm sure you had trade-offs when you moved away
Moved away from
from
college.
Orlando to
Yeah.
Tampa. I'm sure there was un un things you didn't think to happen when you moved to Tampa. I'm sure people you stopped talking to in Orlando, relationships that just faltered, all things that just happen with, you know, decisions.
And you're correct. And it was mostly my fault. My decision to move to Tampa was such a rash split second. We talked about, because I got fired from my mom's restaurant, it led me to a job in Tampa, which was just a run of the mill sales job, making absolutely nothing, dirt cheap money. But here I am thinking, this is an exciting opportunity. This is a time for me to, start over and go to the next chapter. When in reality, it was a great thing because I met Kelsey and I did have Kinsley. I had my first kid. Who knows if I don't move to Tampa, if and when that ever happens. But for me, I cut off so many relationships earlier than I probably wanted to or I should have. Like even people that I was talking to relationship wise before I moved to Tampa, it was kind of like, do you want to move to Tampa with me? And if you don't, then why are we doing this? Or friends that I would see every day that stayed in Orlando for another 2 to 4 years who I wish I had more time with, but I moved, I left. And
Hmm.
yeah, Tampa's only 2 hours from Orlando, but it's really, as you get older and they're finishing college or they're moving out, finishing um going into adult professional jobs in Orlando, it gets a lot harder to travel from Orlando to Tampa all of the time. And it was just relationships like that I left them, and the next thing you know, they moved from Orlando to a different state, Colorado, California, Texas, New York, whatever it is. And now I haven't seen them in 15 years when I could have had 2 to 4 more years with them. But at that same time, if I didn't leave, would I have boxed myself in, right? Would I have been stuck in Orlando? Would I have moved back to my parents' house? Would I have moved back to Deltona? There's just so many ideas and things that you could think of, and I think that those are the trade-offs that you don't really think about. I didn't think, I just did.
Uh-huh.
And I don't regret anything. I love all of my friends and all of my network, but I don't regret moving to Tampa.
Do you have anything or a situation that looked good from the outside, but once you were living it, uh, just wasn't it?
Yeah. I think it would be my relationship with Kelsey.
Okay.
It you know, if you looked at our relationship from social media, it was partying, it was happy, it was raves, it was, this and that. It was all smiles, all lovey-dovey posts, but once you get on the inside, it's just yelling and distance, and it wasn't always all bad, right? I think
Yeah.
we were together
They
for
don't start bad, you know?
no, no, and I think we were together for 4 years. The first 2 were great. Then we had the unexpected pregnancy, and we were actually about to split up, and we were about to sell the house and move out when we found out we were pregnant. So then we tried to just make it work, and from the outside looking in, again, everything looked great. Here we are buying a house together. We were having people come over for Gasparilla and spend the night. But then it's just like, well, you don't look happy. You look a lot
Mhm.
different. People would message me, "You're not the same Chris that, I knew years ago. What's going on? What's wrong?" And I think that
Yeah.
is kind of the experience that I had with that. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, yeah, absolutely. Like mine wasn't as personal, but like mine was work related. After I left tactical machining, that I was there for 12 years.
Yeah,
I ended up having two jobs. The one I have currently, and I was also working at an engineering firm in Orlando. And on paper, it was great. I was making $12,000 a month. It was awesome. But behind the scenes, I was miserable,
yeah,
and I think that lasted like 2 months. I made good chunk of change with them right before Christmas, so I wasn't too upset. But it was one of those things like the grass isn't greener. Let me water this, and it's one of the better decisions I've made.
good.
Giving where I'm at, my undivided attention was a great decision
Yeah.
because
I
it's
think that
definitely
happens a
turned
lot
around.
with workplaces where
Mhm.
I mean, I've talked to so many people that they start a new job, right? You're going through the interview process, you're starting a new job, everything, oh, this is great, this is awesome. And you get in there and it's like, well, this is not what I signed up for. Now what? Like I don't want to go interview again. What happens if I quit and I lose the money that I'm making?
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times that particular looks good on the outside, feels completely different once you're in it, happens with jobs and workplaces. And that's why one day I really do hope to work for myself. I'm
Mhm.
tired of working for other people. I'm tired of making other people money. I also know how hard it is to work for yourself and to be self-sufficient. And I hope that, my life balances out one day to where I have that freedom to work for myself and
Yeah,
not be tied down to the man.
yeah, this pod's gonna do it, dude.
This pod's
'Cause
gonna do it.
we're gonna just make content all day. That's all we're gonna have to do. We wake up, don't even have to put drawers on. We just hop on here,
Oh,
chest up.
are we supposed to be
Yeah.
wearing boxers right
I
now?
know.
Should I
I
s
just
well,
implied I wasn't.
I don't have pants on. Should I stand up? No, I'm just
Same, dude. Yeah. I was
The
like,
no
I
pant the
p
no pants pod.
pants, no pants pod. That hey, that's the after hours. That's on our Patreon. Uh, please subscribe.
Oh, that would be hilarious. How about you? Have you ever questioned if something was actually worth it? Outside of that job that you just kind of mentioned, was there
Um,
anything else that you've questioned? Hey, was this worth it?
while I was in it, no. Out after I got out of it, 1,000%.
Sure.
Relationships, one of the worst relationships I had, was we one of the ones we bonded the most. um, you know, um, the 23 to 24 was just not great. Even when
Yeah.
I was in it, it just decisions I was making that just weren't me. people that wouldn't have conversations that with me that were tough because they were afraid of how I would react rather than just being who I would want in that situation. Like, you might hate me, but you need to hear this, and you won't hate me forever.
Yeah.
Um, but not everybody's like that, so I don't hold anybody to anything. It's just I when I was in it, I was like, "Oh, this is great," but it wasn't, and anyone who knew me or around me knew it, but it just it was one of those like, "Whoa." Once I got out of it, I was like, "Oh, okay."
Yeah,
Nice.
it's like they say on The Office. What does Andy say? You never know you're in the good times and until you're out of them, or whatever he says.
I
And I
don't
think
yeah, it's
it's
worse
it
than that, I'm sure, but
it's it's the same way for you don't really understand how bad a situation can be until you get out of it. And
Mhm.
until you step away and it's no longer close. I have a friend right now who I talk to almost every day who's going through a very hard breakup, and sometimes she's like, you know, am I not good enough? Was it me, or do I need him back? Why did I stay in that relationship so long? And it's just like you need to step back and realize like that whole situation was not good for you. It's time to find yourself again, right? And then
Mhm.
move forward maybe into another relationship. And like I
Yeah.
said, it's just one of those scenarios where it can also be you don't know what you're experiencing until it's over and you look back and you
Well,
reflect.
yeah, for sure, and I think a lot of that for me, uh, I got better when I understood who I was.
Yeah.
Where, the things I didn't like, the things I liked, all of that, just when I was completely and utterly honest with myself, and this is who I am, and you know, I can not be this way, or I'm gonna be this way, or I can change it. So
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love it. It all everything happens for a reason, and
yeah,
good times are happening now.
whatever
And
those are,
yep.
I don't know, but everything happens for a reason.
I want you to think about something that you're chasing right now if you're listening, and ask yourself, do you understand what it's going to cost you to get there, or just what you hope that it does give you? And be honest with yourself. Set those goals, make those goals, and realize in order for me to get here, I'm going to have to sacrifice this and this. And for me, it was getting back on a diet, right? To be a better me, be lose the weight that I need. I've had way too many people around me with health scares, strokes and heart attacks and cancer and all of that shit, that like I want to better myself by getting back in shape. But I know that that sacrifice will have to be all the food that I like to consume and enjoy, and the sodas and eating late and all of that. But it's true for everybody. If you have a goal, if you have something you're chasing, whatever you are chasing, good, bad, or indifferent, there's going to be a cost. There's going to be a sacrifice. It's just knowing what that cost is, and being okay, or being strong enough to move forward with it, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Once you've paid enough of those costs though, there are certain things that you just don't go back to, right? Stuff
True.
that you say, I will never do this again. And that's what I want this last segment to be. It's about the lines that we draw after experiences, not because someone told us to, but because we lived it and we were like, you know what? That's not for me. Stuff you'll never do again. Nick, talk to me about a situation you've outgrown that I'm gonna put this out there because we're all proud of you. We all know that you are sober, but don't mention drinking. That's too easy. Give me something else.
Oh, yeah. Well, can I other things I'm sober from?
Fine.
Um, no, well, one thing that I will never do again is I won't lose who I am because of someone else. Um,
Mm.
I won't not know who I am in a relationship because I've catered to someone to the point where I can't look at myself in the mirror anymore.
Yeah. I didn't expect you to go
Um,
that deep.
also
Here I am talking about fun
cocaine.
shit, and you go straight to deep. I
Also,
like it though.
never doing cocaine again.
Oh. Never say never.
There.
Just kidding.
No, never. I'm never doing cocaine again. No. Way too much of it. I'm good. Drinking, probably good on. I won't never say never on that,
Yeah.
but
I on a different note, before we get back into that, I'm getting back into my party phase, and I don't mean partying in the sense of like all the spring break stuff we shared over the last 2 weeks. No, not cocaine either. Just I'm actually going to another festival again next month with a friend, and I'm excited for that. Just the party atmosphere, being back out in
Mhm.
the rave atmosphere. It's
Yeah.
just a vibe that makes me feel very good. When Chris and I went to Cascade the other month, that was just the happiest I had been in so long.
Mm.
It's if you've never experienced a rave, I tell people, I say go try it. Even I don't
Oh,
care if
no,
you're
they're great.
37 years old. It's
They're
still
great.
the vibes are
The culture,
unchecked.
yeah.
It's uh, anyways. So stuff that
When
I
I
am
found out
going to
you
do
were a
again,
glover,
and
when
stuff
I
that I
found out
won't
you were a
stop
glover,
doing.
you're not gonna stop gloving, are you?
I have that stuff that I'll never do again is gonna glow. My hands is the arthritis. They don't got it anymore. I just sit back and watch now. Uh, all right, I'll tell you this. Stuff that I'll never do again from a deep perspective is I will never take my parents for granted. I
I
think
like that.
that when I was very young, not very young, but when I was a teenager in my teens, in my 20s,
An
I
angsty teen.
yeah, whatever the trope is, I was that. I took my parents for granted. All I ever did was try to get money from them, or, oh, I'm in a bad situation, like you have to help me out. I'm your only son. And I
Mhm.
definitely manipulated them, even though to them it probably doesn't feel like manipulation because they wanted, to help me in everything that I do, and they would never say no, even when I'm calling you from jail at 4 o'clock in the morning, 3 hours away, and the next thing you know, my dad's there as soon as I'm released at 7:30 in the morning to come get me out. But it's just like the little things.
Fucking
Now,
George.
I will never take them for granted, especially as we get older, especially, as I've seen friends lose their parents, right?
Mm,
Early on,
yeah.
later in life. Now, as I'm getting older, I see it all the time on Facebook, and it's just really disheartening. And to think that, my parents are in their mid to late 60s, health issues might start, they're getting older. How much time do I actually have left? I would love to say 20 years, but we don't know. So I'm very thankful that they live 3 hours away. I'm very thankful that they're here all the time, that they are a part of my children's life, that my mom has been here for days now, helping me move and clear everything out. And just that's something that I'll never do again, is I'll never take my parents for granted. Now,
Nice. I
that's the
like that.
deep one, right? Stuff that I'll never do
Cocaine?
again is
Cocaine?
acid and mushrooms and
Oh, mushrooms. No, no, no.
oh,
Mushrooms you
no,
should do again.
no. Cocaine you should do
Mushrooms you
again. I
should do.
I could do I can play this game too.
Nah, no, see, there's studies that with psilocybin curing depression, so
You know what cures my
you should
depression? Molly.
cocaine, right? Mine too, bud. Mine too. See, Molly, another one that I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna do that again. I don't. I don't think I need it.
There's only
But when those bass drops without it, I don't know.
Oh, I'm not saying I can't go to a festival without drugs. I don't know, but if I were to do anything else in this world from now until the end of time, it would only be cocaine, Molly, or drinking.
Oh,
Or weed, I guess.
interesting. Well,
I'm not gonna do ketamine. I don't
no.
understand why that we touched on this a little bit last episode, but I don't understand why these kids love ketamine to where somebody was like, "Oh, I went into a K-hole at the bar." And what I found out that means is they were just sitting at the bar and all of a sudden they go like this, right?
Yeah, slumped.
And they just slump over and they don't know where they're at. And I'm like, "Why is that fun for you? What is
No
enjoyable about
idea.
that?" Um,
No idea.
mushrooms, acid, I can't fuck with anything that changes my perception of reality because I go down way too dark of a hole.
Mm. Mm. I feel that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we talked about real situations. We talked about fun situations, but what's something that made you finally draw the line on a situation?
Mm. Um, there's, I mean,
I'll give you this example. For me, I stopped assessing or stopped trying to be friends for everybody. I stopped being I realized that I'm trying to make every friendship a friendship where if it's not two-sided or at least that person's not trying some of the time, I'm going to back out of this friendship. And that's something where I finally drew the line of, hey, I'm your friend. I do all these things for you. I'm the only one who comes to visit you. You know, I've been in Tampa for 10 years. You never come and visit me, where I come and visit you all the time. It's little things like that. And we've talked about being the strong friend, and we've talked about having to be everybody's friend. But that was something that I finally drew the line of. I mean, just recently, within the last 5 years, to where I'm like, hey, I can't be everybody's friend. And if you want to be my friend, I will be your friend. But if you're not going to put in any effort, then, you know, maybe this is just an acquaintance and not a friendship.
yeah, I've been in those situations, and I will say something I will never do again. I will never not have boundaries. So
Good one.
I was a type of, you know, pick me, for lack of a better word. I wanted everyone to, I was a go-to. That's what I wanted. And then people start taking advantage of your kindness, and then you keep letting it happen, against your better judgment. Whether it be lending money or a laundry list of things of just in service of, and then it never being reciprocated or even appreciated. And then when you finally set your foot down, you're the asshole. It's like, huh,
Yeah.
okay, well, I'm just gonna do this from jump now, and you either are gonna like me or you don't. So
I think that
yeah,
comes with an immaturity from the other side.
yeah,
That's
1,000%.
something I've
A
learned.
1,000%. Anybody who is mature, or at least trying to be emotionally mature, when you come to them with a problem or anything, that mostly it's problems, right? I
Yeah.
don't like that you did this to me. You know, most people that aren't in tune with their own emotions immediately are like, well, fuck this, and we'll move on, or disregard it. And the people that care, or actually have a grasp of who they are or their own emotions, are like, oh, I'll correct that because I don't want you to feel that way. But
Yep.
it really depends on the person. But it was when I didn't do it for so long, and then doing it wasn't just one person. It'd be a multitude of people that, maybe didn't like who I was now, because you're not getting anything out of me. But, it is what it is.
That's one thing I will never lend people money. There are maybe like 5 people in this world that I would lend money to.
You don't lend it if you don't have it.
I
That's
ain't got shit.
well, that's the thing. Like, if you, that's always been the rule.
Yeah.
If you don't lend it if you don't have it, if you are expecting it back, don't fucking lend it.
Yep. Yep.
It's the
That's true.
biggest thing.
If
So
you have it to lend, don't expect getting it back because it will
Mhm.
ruin
Yeah,
relationships.
and I'm not even talking like I don't like I'm not even talking about that aspect of it. Like that's not why we
Yeah.
had a falling out. I could give two shits. Like I knew what it was every time I did it. Like am I gonna take your word for what you're telling me it is? I'm gonna try to help.
Yeah.
And whether or not you pay me back or not, like after the third time of being told a different story of I'll get okay,
Yeah.
sure you will, but here, like sure, pay me back whenever. I don't believe you, but sure. But
Yep.
even that, I still did it. That's what I'm saying. Against my better judgment, was still doing this. And then it's like, you only call me when you need money. And at that point, I don't, I don't, I don't need you.
I don't need you. I think this was, I really enjoyed this episode. I don't think we got too deep for anything, but I think we covered a lot of very interesting topics that are prevalent in a lot of people's lives, right? And for this last segment, if you're listening, I want you to think about what is something in your life right now that you already know you need to walk away from. Something that you have said to yourself, I'll never do this again. Why haven't you? Right? Think about why you haven't walked away and think about why you're still doing that. Is it growth? Is it immaturity? Or I guess lack of growth? Any words on that from you, Nick?
um, it's hard.
Yeah.
It's not most of the time, but most of the time, doing those things isn't easy. Most people tend to put those things off because they're difficult. But much like a resolution, just start now. Uh, the minute you don't like something about yourself, correct it. Um, I, I always think back to uh, BMWs. The minute the oil leaks, fix it because things are gonna get messy real quick as far as like what else is gonna break. So it's like just do it now. Don't put it off. Things are gonna get worse.
Fix your
Just do it now.
BMWs.
Yeah, yeah. But crazy analogy,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. All right.
anyone who owns one will be like, yeah, he's right. The minute they started leaking oil, everything's gonna go downhill if you don't fix it. So,
All right. Well, let's bring it in for the day. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate your time as always. I know that we have another guest coming on next episode. As we've mentioned before, if you are interested in being a guest, please reach out to us. If you are one of the listeners that is listening who you don't know Nick or I, reach out to us. I want to be challenged with meeting a stranger. I want to be challenged with bringing somebody on and understanding somebody's perspective that I know nothing about. And that sounds like a fun challenge. But
no, same.
for this episode, perception is not always reality. Every decision comes with something attached to it. And sometimes the clearest growth shows up in what we're no longer willing to tolerate. I want that to just sit. All right, let that sit. If any part of today's episode hit home, share it with a friend. Tag us at CrodsPod on Instagram, follow us on TikTok at CrodsPod, and help us keep these conversations going. We drop new episodes every Thursday. If you have a story, a topic, or you just need to vent, email us at crodspod@gmail.com. We want to hear from you. Our safe space is your outlet. And until next time, we are going to get branded t-shirts, Nick, because I like this, Live fast, as the t-shirt says, live fast, eat ass, or understand the cost before you pay it.